When I first figured out what it was that I wanted to do and what I wanted to go into, I looked for everything that I could to find something that could give me experience, find things that could give me more knowledge, and really just to get myself in there to make sure that this is something that I wanted to do. I would love to share all of my experiences with you and what I have done up to this point to make myself a better candidate for medical school and um, to really show myself that this is something that I could do for a long time, for my life. And the only way that you really know what you want to do is to get out there. So I will start from things that I had done earlier on in life when I first figured out what it was that I wanted to do. My very first experience was when I was younger, when my little siblings, when you guys were born. Jayla was first. At that point, I was only 4 years old, so I really didn't know what was going on. I just was in there and saw the whole process. Um, the next step was you when you were born. I was 8, so I was a little bit more aware than being 4, but still not to the point where I knew what was going on and that I wanted to do that. The very last experience that I had when I was with you guys was with Nathan. When he was born, I was 12, and it was a little bit more realizing to me that the whole process was going on, and I had saw mommy was how she was during her whole pregnancy, and then I saw when her water broke and just the whole process. I was there for it, and I was a little bit older, so I was able to understand what was going on, and I just remember being in there, and I was like, wow, like that was the most amazing thing that I had ever experienced. And how the heck did this full-grown baby just come out of my mom? And really started thinking about what it really meant and what I could do to be a part of that process, because the nurses and the doctors were just so, I thought they were so cool and so helpful. And so I wanted to be in those, take those leads. So then high school, when I started high school, I decided to start interning at the University of Colorado Hospital on the labor and delivery floor. And that was amazing. And I think that that was the point when I realized that that was what I wanted to do the most, because I was in high school, I was more mature. I was able to go and help. I was actually able to go and watch many births. Since university is a teaching hospital, they allow students and people who want to do those kind of things to sit in. So I remember my very first labor that I had saw, the lady did not have any anesthesia, any pain medicine. Sorry, I can't remember what that is called right now. But she went through it like a champ. She delivered her baby, and she didn't have much complications. And then I do remember also that I saw my first emergency C-section. It was very, very, very scary. And I think at that point, you really have to think about not only the good of what you're going into, but the bad as well. And the mother had been in labor for quite a while, and it was to the point where it was affecting her and the baby negatively. And so the doctor called for an emergency C-section, and it was crazy insane. Everybody was going crazy. Everybody was working at a very fast pace. And once they cut the mom open from her belly and took the baby out, the baby was I just remember, I will never forget what it looked like, just like a blob. It was lifeless, it was discolored, and it was just very, very scary to see that. And the baby went and got worked on the NICU, and I don't even know if the baby made it. I never heard anything because the baby was transferred somewhere else. So that was one of the things that hit me and made me really question what kind of bad things come with this career, and am I someone who's able to deal with that and deal with it constantly and be able to continue and do my job effectively. 2 years after I graduated, I traveled to Peru and we did a medical campaign there. This was like actually a really good experience because I was able to be more independent, and since Peru is not as developed as we are here in America, I was able to do a lot of the processes by myself. So I was able to actually help do the birth of a woman. I was able to find the baby's vital signs while she was giving birth so that we made sure that everything was still okay. I was able to wash baby when he came out and give him his baby shots and get him ready to get back to mom. So it was definitely more of a learning experience because I wasn't at that point, I wasn't watching. I was doing things, and you have to be really careful because there is room for mistakes and there is room for for people to get upset with you. But I think that in that situation, you always know what's best when you're in that situation, and you can judge things and how you react to situations. And that was very fun to do that. I also was able to give women birth control. I was able to give a lot of vaccines, and so I learned the ins and outs, not only the fun labor parts, but what goes along with that is like women's health and checkups and all of the things that that OBGYNs do on a daily basis. So let's see. So for my service learning project, just recently, I was interning at the emergency room and the labor and delivery floor at the Medical Center of Aurora. So the emergency room sees more of women who are pregnant and are having some sort of complications, abdominal pain, or just something isn't seeming right with their pregnancy, and so they come into the emergency room to have everything checked. At that point, once we realize that something is wrong and that the emergency room can't do it, then they get transferred up to labor and delivery, where they can then be thoroughly looked at and cared for. I do remember a lady who came into the emergency room having abdominal pain, and she was 5 months pregnant, and it had looked like she had a miscarriage. And she went up to the L&D floor, and it was one of the saddest things ever to know, I think that it's a really tough process for anyone to go through because they have this baby, and you grow such a bond so quickly within 5 months or within the 9 months that you have a baby inside of you, and to know that you lost it is just very heartbreaking, and it's very heartbreaking for people around as well. So upcoming things, I am planning to get my doula certification this month, and hopefully I can start off that career and get some clientele and get some reviews about how I am, and hopefully just start a business doing that on the side. So